Hi, I just shipped the MCP Server update for RepoPrompt in 1.3, and I'm here to show you a little bit about what that does and why it's helpful. So if you're familiar with RepoPrompt, you can go ahead and select files and do that traditionally, manually, and look through your repo and pick the relevant context for yourself, and that still remains very useful. But what's actually really great now with the MCP support is if you have tools like Claude Desktop, you can go ahead and invoke it to talk to the app and have it do research and help you with file selection to build your prompts and prepare that way. So here I just set up a prompt, and just so you understand a little bit about why I picked this, I've got my web app folder open and my project folder open. So the website and the Swift app are all in the same workspace. And why that's helpful is I'm working on documentation, so I want to help document some of the features, but to help do that, I need to have some understanding of what the code's doing, and then be able to explain how it works, logically there. So let's talk about this. So we want to select files to help us learn about the MCP feature. So I'm going to have Claude get to work. So it's going to start reading files in the code base. So first of all, it's going to do some exploration. So some of the tools that we have in the RepoPrompt MCP are tools that you've had access to before. So like being able to read the file tree. So, I can go ahead and access, I can go ahead and access here. These are the selected files. So you can see the directory structure of these files here. There's codemaps available, and all sorts of things. So basically it's going to do some reading to read, first of all, what we've got selected, and just read through the different files to see if there's anything that it needs to know. So it's basically determining, okay, we need to read something about the MCP services. Great. So Claude is able to use very advanced search tools, sort of like you get in Claude Code, but you can use them in any AI-powered app. And I'll show you a little bit more about that later. So right now, it's doing an analysis of the feature. It's able to explain exactly how it's set up, and it's able to pull out all the tools that we have accessible. Great. So it did a really nice analysis of the repo, of the different features, and it could tell us, in great detail, what's missing and what's going on here. So that's really cool. So it's able to read the docs. It's able to read the feature and explain how it works. Okay, super helpful. So I can actually go and take actionable steps from this later. So, there's a lot of tools here. What can we do with them? Well, another thing that's very helpful is if you're using Claude Code, one thing that you probably are missing is the access to other models. So one thing that's great with this is, Claude Desktop, it's not made for file editing, and, we don't yet support file editing with these tools, but that's going to come as well because RepoPrompt is a powerful file editor. But what we can do with this is actually, set up our prompt context, which we've done here, and then we can go ahead and hit copy or move to chat, or we can open another tool like Cursor here. Look at the selected files that I have and make targeted, move this over, changes to my docs. Wait, I'm actually going to say, I'm going to paste this response here. So paste this here. So this is our response as follows. Great. So Cursor is now going to be able to read my selected files from RepoPrompt. So it knows exactly, what context I have. Great. So I didn't have to tell Cursor or manually select the files that I actually wanted to work with. It's able to call my read file tool as well, and read files that are related to the repo that I had open. So basically I had two repos open here, and it's able to read some of those files and read the web files here, and quickly make quick work and actually go ahead and do the required edits that it wants to do. So you're able to combine tools really interestingly by syncing the context using the selected files that RepoPrompt provides. And so you can start off in one app, continue in another app, and just move on. And I could move to Claude Code if I wanted, or I could open up VS Code and do the same thing here, which we also are able to read these MCP Server tools as well. So MCP is like allowing us to make RepoPrompt a kind of hub between all of the different tools that folks are using every day. And it allows us to kind of, pick up work in one place and continue in another and work in ways that make sense for people. So there you go. So Cursor was able to go ahead and make some nice targeted edits. And that's really cool. So I didn't have to explain any of the context. I just started in one app, continued in another, and Yeah, that's great. I could have just done the whole thing in Cursor if I wanted to, but it's nice to be able to. I just really like using Claude Desktop, and I've got my own subscription here and rate limit sort of thing. So if you want to use different tools, it's a great way to work. So how do you set this up? Okay, great. So basically, the MCP server here, there's a few ways to work. So what's nice with this button here is it lets you kind of just jump straight to Cursor. And if you click it, it'll just basically set it up here directly into the app using a deeplink. So that's really helpful. I'm going to turn this one off here. It's my debug tool. What else can we do? Well, we can go ahead and open the MCP settings, and you can scroll down. And so you can see there's this JSON file. So in most cases, you can just set this up and copy it into the config file. So with Claude Desktop, if I were to open this up and go down to settings, I can go ahead and edit my config, and then from there, with the config, you're able to just update the JSON and work from there. Great. So finally, with Claude Code, all you have to do is basically just paste this in and ask Claude to kind of update it, update the config. It's going to run the commands for you. It's able to do that work, and it's really no issue. So what else can we do here? So we can turn off tools. So if there's tools that you find are duplicative of other tools and apps that you have, you can turn them off here easily. So we can turn off that one if you want, and then that just hides it as a tool that's available. So if I click here, I just turn one off. We went from 15 to 14, so we can just cut off tools from the source and prevent the advertising of them. And I could just turn off the server if I don't want it to be discoverable anymore. So that's a great way to kind of cut things off. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about setting it up, I'm happy to answer them. Just hop in the comments in the YouTube video, just reply, and I'd be happy to give you a little bit of guidance if needed. So we'll go from there. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you find use for this MCP server. I just want to stress again, the request plan is really helpful. If you're working in Claude Code specifically and you want access to like an advisor model like 03 or even 03 Pro, what's really cool with this is that you can sync the context, so have files selected, and then basically ask, Claude will ask 03 with the selected context and basically send a prompt like this, and be able to just prompt it itself to ask for like an advisor on how to get unstuck and how to move from there. So it's very helpful, and this will be improving. We've got more personas coming, lots of stuff to work on there. But yeah, please let me know if you've used it, if you find it helpful. I'd love to hear from you on what it's doing for you and what more we can do with this. So thank you so much.